Every time I make this dish, I think about my mom. It was the first dish she taught me how to make, and it's really funny because it has nothing to do with our culture. You would think that as a Lebanese mom, she would teach me a dish from Lebanon as my first one. But instead, I was taught this amazing Italian dish. She couldn't have taught me a better recipe. You need patience and skill to make this because this takes up a big chunk of your day. Because of this recipe, I learned how to chop and dice onions. I learned how delicate extra virgin olive oil is, and adding butter enhances the flavor of the whole dish. Even adding spices to your onions as they're being sauteed is a very important step. It elevates the flavors of the spices. They become so immersed with the onions and the oil and the butter. Sauteing the meat without adding the spices first is simply not the same. Even this part of allowing the meat mixture and the marinara sauce to fuse together and combine. Giving it that time, allowing it to thicken is so important. Rushing that step won't give you the same overall effect at the end of the dish. Also, fresh mushrooms and canned mushrooms are totally different. As a matter of fact, this is probably the first dish that taught me about herbs. I thought that adding dried basil should be enough, but I quickly learned that fresh basil is so potent that leaving it out will not give you the same result. I made this dish over and over every time thinking, oh yeah, now I perfected it. But every time I made it, I learned something new. I learned about new spices and new technique. Even creating the layers was a skill. If I rushed through this part, then the final result felt like it had an element missing. Patience was an all-around skill that I needed to learn. Patience with myself because I gave myself such a hard time if a dish didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And patience with the dish, giving it enough time to do what it needs to do to combine the flavors. Adding cheese, what kind of cheese and how much cheese to put is a whole other thing that I had to learn. It was kind of like being in culinary school, but without the professionals there to teach you. There were plenty of times where I couldn't rely on my mom to tell me what to do. I had to figure things out on my own. I mean, there are plenty of cookbooks out there with amazing recipes, but we all know that reading about something and actually doing it are two completely different things. It's the doing part that hones in on our skills. So for me, making this one Italian dish actually taught me how to make so many others from different cultures, even from my own. Every recipe I make has a direct correlation to this first one that my mom taught me, and I will forever be grateful for that. Now let me feed you.